Hi everyone, it's Vicky, Messy Stitcher here. I hope you're having a lovely week and that you're looking forward to your nice long Easter weekend. We've got a 4-day weekend at least here in the UK, so I'm really looking forward to it. To be honest, I've been really lazy this month. I've had a lot of annual leave to take. I just left over that I hadn't taken really, so I've only actually worked 9 days out of March. So it's just been kind of getting into a cycle of not really doing a lot and kind of just lazing about, doing lots of stuff. I've got lots of cross stitching done. It probably doesn't seem like it to you, but for me, I feel like I've got quite a lot of stitching done this past month. I've been able to progress on my projects a lot quicker than I would normally, so I've been really happy. But it does, I have got to get into that mind frame after this bank holiday of going back into kind of usual work pattern and getting back into the kind of 9 to 5 routine, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge, which I'm not really looking forward to be honest, but never mind anyway. I wanted to say a huge thank you. I know I say this every time, but it's really, really important. I'm so grateful to everybody that comments and subscribes to my channel. I don't know how many subscribers I've got, but it's a lot more than I thought I was ever going to get, and I'm really, really pleased with it. And I also had a little notification that I think it was my second video, my WIPs video, has now received over 1,000 views, and I was just amazed. I was really, really amazed at the kind of generosity of people in the cross stitch community online, everybody kind of watching each other's videos. I think we're really kind of giving people. I think naturally we kind of we're very reciprocal. If we watch somebody's video, if we expect somebody to watch our video, we'll watch their video, and we kind of discover each other's channels, and it's a really lovely way of doing things, because you really, I've sort of noticed the same people pop up in different comment boxes of different channels, and it just reminds me that we're kind of all linked up together really. So it's been really, really nice to kind of be involved. I've had some really nice tips and techniques from people. Carolyn shared a video recently on her channel, which was about pin stitch for when you're doing kind of an isolated cross stitch and you're not sure how to anchor it, and I found that really, really helpful. That's my kind of tip of the week that I've taken on, so I'm going to be trying that out. And lots of people kind of responded to my question about what craft they would like to try, if they could try any other craft from one of my other videos. And I was quite surprised and kind of pleasantly surprised to find out that I'm not the only person that wants to get into quilting. I don't think I'm going to seriously get around to that this year, but it would be amazing if I even learnt something really basic to do with it at some point. So it's been really lovely to kind of, I really like the fact that, I'll post a video, people will kind of comment on their thoughts, and then I can reply to them about kind of observations I've made or things that I've done. So yeah, it's really, really good. I'm sorry if I'm rambling and not making much sense today. I'm kind of in a really weird, I feel really tired today. I actually had quite a lot of sleep, but I just feel quite drowsy, so I don't think I'm making a lot of sense, so I'm sorry. I've got my usual list that I'll be looking at, which is why I always notice in my videos I'm sort of looking to the side, but it's because I try to remind myself of things that I want to mention in the video so that I don't forget really important things. As usual, it's going to be a pretty much a kind of mishmash of different stuff this time. I've got a few things to update you on, so I thought I would, it isn't a new finish that you're not aware of. It's actually my Love Sampler by Historical Sampler Company that I did show you, but it was all quite crumpled up, not ironed or finished or framed. And I've done that now. So I just wanted to show you. I will explain a little bit about it, because there's some things I'm not happy with, but... Oh, sorry, let's get rid of that. This here it is. It's a shame really that the webcam isn't really picking up the colour on it brilliantly, to be honest. The colours are a lot more vibrant. They're quite kind of bright really in the actual kit itself, but this is such a cheap webcam. It's the one that comes on my laptop. It's not really giving it much justice, but there you go. It's finished, it's ironed. I don't know if the camera will pick up on this, but there's quite a big crease vertically down the middle, which is obviously back from when I kind of folded it in quarters to find the centre originally, and it's really bugging me because me and my boyfriend tried to iron it loads and loads of times, and it's still not going, which is a shame. So I've had to frame it as it is and hope that it comes out. The thing I'm not overly happy with is the frame. It's quite, I never actually have paid for something to be framed professionally. I think I would if I ever finished my Heaven and Earth design, but I think for kind of fairly standard ones like this, I can't really afford to spend a lot of money on that, so I tend to get frames. I think this one was about £6 from Wilkinson's. Anybody in the UK, I think Wilkinson's is really, really good for basic frames. They usually have quite a big selection. I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted to put this in a wooden frame. I think it would have suited it a bit better. I did show this to my grandma and she thought that the colours really complemented each other, because the Ada is kind of a, I guess, a beigey kind of colour, and she thought that the gold worked well with it, which I guess, but I just had a vision. I suppose everybody has a vision in their head of how they'd like their finished project to look, and I was hoping that it would be kind of a dark wood frame. And I think if you go anywhere that's just a general high street shop like Wilkinson's that sells a lot of things and they've only got a small selection, it's always going to be hard to find anything that's outside of the normal range. I can't remember the exact dimensions of this kit, but I think because it's long and thin, it was harder to get a frame the right size. I mean, this actually isn't the best kind of fit for the picture really, so I am still thinking that maybe I'll frame it in another one at some point. But that's it for now. I'm really happy that I finished it anyway. There are some, hopefully you won't be able to pick up on it, but I know that there are a couple of mistakes in there. But I do think it's that classic thing of when it's your own work, you think that you see everything, but probably nobody else would. But there are a couple of things in the border that I know I got very tired, I did wrong, and I just didn't have the energy to unpick. But there you go. I'm quite happy that I sort of feel like things get done now. And as I say, a lot of that's down to the fact that I've had a lot of time off in March, and I've been able to really plough through things. But I actually finished that about a month ago, and I think a lot of it is, as I say, just kind of getting into cross stitching much more as a hobby and actually doing it regularly, rather than it being this thing that I kind of picked up and put down. The other thing I thought I'd show you is my progress on my Lizzie Kate design. I think I've sort of mentioned it in the one before, I think, that I'd started it, but and I think I showed you some progress. Hopefully you'll be able to see the rest of the stuff that I've done. I'm really disappointed in a way, because I absolutely love the kit. I think the way it comes, I've been so pleased with a lot of things. Like, it's been coming together really quickly. It's very, very quick stitch. I don't consider myself to be a particularly quick stitcher, and I've managed to sort of get as far as I have in about 2-3 weeks, which has been really good, probably about 3 weeks, but it's been very good for me to get that much done. I think I really like the saying, I really like the design. The disappointments I have with the kit are to do with me really. They're to do with my technique and to do with me probably trying to experiment where I shouldn't have done. I will show you in a minute, but I just wanted to explain the kind of dilemmas that I've had. So maybe if I show you the original design, I'm not sure if everybody watching this video would have seen my other videos, so I'll give you a refresher. This is a quote from Winnie the Pooh, and it's a Lizzie Kate design. It's a lovely design, and it says, "Promise me you'll always remember, you're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think," which I thought was lovely. I guess one of the things that caused a problem was that the stall, I don't know whether Lizzie Kate ever sell kits, but whenever I've seen a lot of her stuff and I've never seen them sold as kits. I don't know whether I'm looking in the wrong place or not, but I do think it's a shame actually. Through watching YouTube videos, I've really picked up on the fact that a lot of experienced cross stitchers, I think it's more common than not that experienced cross stitchers tend to buy their own supplies and chop and change different colours and designs. And I guess maybe that's why, but I always think there's a place for people like me that usually prefer to have the kit kind of ready packaged for them. And also just for people that are new to it and just want to give it a go, because I think the thing that put me off with Lizzie Kate before is I really loved all of the kind of designs, but they didn't come, you know, sorry, I'm really tongue-tied today. They sort of just came on their own as a chart, and I think that's quite off-putting when they're in a stall that doesn't have the supplies to make them up. So I love the Knit and Stitch shows in London. I think they're amazing, but what I will say is there are a couple of these stalls that kind of sell these charts, and in my mind, it makes logical sense that they might sell sort of a vague amount of supplies that would go with kind of those type of kits. So, for example, this particular store more or less just has Lizzie Kate charts, and then bizarrely they have a tiny, tiny basket of a couple of different linens and Ada. So I got my Ada there. But they don't sell anything else. I think they did sell a couple of these variegated threads that I first picked up, and that was it. I mean, they literally had maybe 5 or 6 colours. I know that it's not because they're a kind of start-up fledgling business, because they've been there quite a few times. So I've never really understood the businessman. I mean, I'm not a business-minded person necessarily, but I don't think it makes a lot of business sense to kind of not have the supplies, because, you know, my instinct that day would have been to buy the chart and start buying things for it. And if could have got everything from that one stall, it would have been really convenient. So I'm really surprised, but you know, there may be reasons that I just don't understand or don't get, so that's fine. So when I bought the kit, I had a very limited selection of the variegated threads that were kind of, they weren't even the same make as Lizzie Kate recommends, which doesn't bother me, but there was only a few, so I decided that just so I could get going with the lettering at least, I would buy some. So I bought I think they're Colour Creations, and I'm quite happy with the thread. And as I say, I managed to pick up the Ada. But yeah, I think I probably, it was me, I chose the wrong project to experiment on. I actually think, if I give you another flash of it, I think these colours are quite country and quite woody, and I think there's just something about the colours that I chose that are a little bit too severe for the design, and I'll show you what I mean, and I won't be offended at all if you agree with me when you comment on the video, because I definitely think that I've kind of chosen colours that don't really go with it. So the base colours on this are supposed to be kind of browns and yeah, pretty much sort of coffee shade browns, and I went for a dark blue and a dark red, thinking, oh wow, that will look really good. But if you look at the pictures that come with it, you sort of start to realise that they kind of don't really go with very harsh colours. I've also gone wrong somewhere, which I'll show you in a minute, which means that it doesn't look as kind of great as it could do. I think I've miscounted a couple of squares, and with something where you've got kind of sentences in a row, it sort of makes it look a bit odd. One final thing, and this will only be for kind of OCD. I'm not normally OCD about things. I wouldn't have called my channel Messy Stitcher if I was. But what I would say is that if you look at this, where it says than, basically you're braver than you, that is a N that kind of ends, you know, it's a straight N, for want of a better word. But then if you look at the chart, oh no, so I can't show you the chart. I will show you instead my work, and I will explain to you. So this is how far I've got on it. I'm really pleased with it. I'm really happy. What I would say though is, can you see that where I have written the word than, it has kind of a curve to the end of the N, and that was what was in the chart. But if you look at the picture on the front, that's not what it looks like. And I've noticed this with a few things. I've actually looked up the colours that it recommends in the official chart, and what actually, and it doesn't really marry up, because the front, because none of them that they recommend are variegated. I got the wrong end of the stick really, because I saw the picture on the front of the chart when I bought it and thought, oh, they use variegated threads, picked up the ones that they had. And then I realised that, and on the front of the chart, it very much shows it having been done in variegated threads, but the ones that they recommend for use are actually flat colours. So I don't know, that there's something a little bit strange about how the charts are put together, because if you were to follow and get all the threads that they list, you would just have flat colours. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's a combination of me kind of ruining things a bit, and the chart not being overly clear. yeah, so that curved N on it was on the chart, even though it didn't look like that at the front. But in any case, as I say, I do think the colours are maybe a little bit strong for the rest of it. I think, so where the Believe is, I think that it looks a little bit out of sync with the rest of the line, and I think that's, I keep trying to find out where I've miscounted, and I just can't quite source where I've gone wrong. So I'm gonna just leave it as it is. If it does look a little bit wonky and a little bit not right, I might just kind of deal with it as it is, and it won't, you know, I won't give it to anybody if I think it doesn't look neat and tidy enough. I was hoping to give it to my sister, but I think if it looks a complete mess by the end of it, then I won't. But I'm happy with how quick it's come together, and I can feel like I can stitch on this for kind of half a day and really feel, even a couple of hours, and feel like I've got a lot done. I mean, something like that kind of bird there only took me about an hour at the most, I think. So yeah, so it's quite quick, but there are a few disappointments with it, which is a shame. I'd be really interested, actually. I know Carolyn's mentioned Lizzie Kate before, but I wonder if anybody else out there has used Lizzie Kate designs, and whether you would have any kind of feedback on that. Anything that you think, you know, have you had any of the same thoughts as I have about how the chart's represented it in the picture and things like that, or is it just me being weird, or me not understanding something, which is possible as well. Okay, so that's that. I guess that kind of takes me on to what else am I working on, really. Well, as I say, I said in my last video, I'm not really working on loads of stuff at the same time. I mean, if you discount the ones that have been sitting around waiting for ages, you know, for months and months and years, then if you just think about the ones I've been working on more recently, the only other one is this Jane Greenoff design. Now, I remember showing this in kind of when I went through my stash. So just to remind you, it is the Hedgerow Sampler by Jane Greenoff. Again, I would be really, really interested to see what people's feedback is about Jane Greenoff designs, because I have a few thoughts around them. So Jane Greenoff has been around for ages in the cross stitch world, and she does these amazing, lovely samplers. I think the samplers are her strength, and I always used to see her stuff, and to be honest, it's funny that I'm doing this because my taste isn't really very country cottage kind of thing normally, but there was something about this I really liked. One of the things that's put me off about her designs before is that they always seem to have, they're labelled as cross-stitch kits, but they actually have a lot of speciality stitching in them. I mean, most of the ones this size, that sort of A4 size that I was looking at on her stall, I mean, you know, it's me. You know, if I was willing to do speciality stitches, I'd do them, and they're really good fun. Apparently, I'm just, you know, I don't push myself outside my comfort zone enough. But it is a little bit of a shame that there isn't any kind of pure cross-stitch kits really in her collection. And I bought this, and I thought I'd got one, and then I realised there is a couple of speciality stitches. But you know what, I'm gonna give it a go, and I'm gonna see what happens. But it isn't traditionally my taste. I think I was more drawn to it because of all of the colours and the kind of vibrancy of them than the actual fact that I think I would keep the finished design. So I think this is definitely going to be one that I would give away. But I have, as I say, I have some pen pals. I might send it to a pen pal. I might save it for a present, so we'll see. But sometimes, you know, I actually quite like the idea of working on things that you don't have a purpose for. I think most of us kind of, when we start a project naturally, you kind of have an idea in mind of, you know, this is going to be for me, or this is going to be a present. But I kind of like the idea of just stitching something, seeing where it goes, and kind of taking it from there, really. So we'll see. So that's kind of just to show you, I guess, where I've got to. It's really, I don't even know whether I've made any progress. I may have shown you before, but here we go. I've just done basically the bottom, the sort of beginning of the cottage. What has really been amazing about this one, though, again, I don't think you can really see this that well, but it's even weave. Sorry, it's not even weave, it's linen. It is listed as pure linen. Now, I don't know much about linen, and as I say, I've had a couple of bad experiences when I have immediately tried it. But it seems like even weave, but I haven't had any problems with it, because when I've used what was called pure linen before, because I know that there are even weave fabrics that kind of mimic linen or are linen, but they've been made into an even weave fabric or whatever, so the holes are kind of equal distance. It's been, you know, I've seen that, but in terms of when I've tried a few kits and I've actually bought a piece of linen, the problem, which I know a lot of other people have, has been that it's uneven. it's uneven. The kind of, so you can end up with these really fat lines of cross stitches and these really thin ones, and I could never really work out how people get around that. But actually, what's really bizarre is I can look at the fabric. You know, I can look at that and see that not all of it's even. But then when I actually do stitch on it, I'm not having any problems. I found it a really nice feel to it. It feels quite like luxurious. It actually feels quite soft. And yeah, I really like working on it, and it hasn't felt like a chore, which I thought it would. So it's not my top priority, that kit. I think it's going to be one I kind of pick up and put down, which I think I said originally when I went through my stash. But I do like the feel of it, so I think I'll carry on with it, and it's really nice. I don't know if any of you guys have had any experience with linen or indeed kind of Jane Greenoff designs. I don't know what you think about her designs. I'm torn between them. I kind of like them, but they're not my personal taste. So I don't know if anybody else has that, where you also kind of stitch a project, not so much because you actually like the finished product itself, but because there's elements of it, like the colours that are used or the variety of stuff in there that really works for you. I think that's the case with this one. So it's a bit of a different project for me, because usually I kind of pick things because I like the picture. This was much more kind of a bit more to do with the detail of it. So yeah, so that's an update on that. I had one special mention of a suggestion I wanted to say is thank you, Carolyn. I mentioned Carolyn a lot in this video, but it's because I've been talking quite a lot to her through comments. So Carolyn mentioned the idea, because I've obviously mentioned a few times I had no idea how to edit my videos to insert pictures. And she kind of suggested that if I was on Pinterest, I could kind of show my progress through photos, because I know that a lot of YouTubers tend to kind of have an ongoing Pinterest or Instagram that they show their photos on. I don't have Instagram. Pinterest I do have, but it's been sitting. I kind of had this whirlwind of posting Christmas pictures at one point, and then I actually never really did anything with it. So I have got one, but I need to clean it up and kind of actually start using it again. So you might be waiting a while, but eventually I will get some stuff on there, and I'd like to post some photos of other designs that I've done that kind of I haven't been able to show you because I haven't got a way to. So yeah, and you're probably thinking, why don't you just learn to edit videos, Vicky? But that's it's just me. I want to do things. I wanted to keep this simple, and I'd rather talk to the camera and kind of have a conversation with the camera. But when it comes to things like inserting graphics and stuff, I think it looks amazing in other people's videos, but it's just not my forte. So I'm just not gonna worry too much about stuff like that. But it would be good to kind of journey some of my progress so that you could have a look. Right, well, the other thing was thank you for all the responses about Stony Creek. I mentioned Stony Creek in my last video, that I really like their stuff, and a few people have told me where I can find it, and I've heard of 123 Stitch, the website, a lot, and it's funny because I go on all the websites, but it's one of those websites I've never actually got round to having a look at, and I saw it and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I'm going to check that out much more and see if I can find some kind of Stony Creek patterns or kits that I can work on, probably next month now. I'm trying not to buy anything this month or for a while really, but I am tempted to get a couple of Stony Creek designs. The last thing, so this has turned into me asking you loads of questions, but it's just because there's a few things that I've been playing on my mind about cross-stitching that I want to ask people. So the last thing that I kind of thought of for this video is I have a question around subscriptions, so not YouTube subscriptions, fabric subscriptions. So I've noticed that quite a few, Mrs. Milky Barkid used to mention it, I'm sure, and I've seen other people say that they receive kind of fabric subscriptions through the post. So every month they seem to get a parcel, and I presume you pay a direct debit for that. I just wondered where you guys get that from, because I'd be really interested. as interested in getting threads and stuff, but I'd like to get the actual fabric. So I don't know if anybody's seen Pole Stitch Designs, their website, but they do all this lovely kind of tie-dye, hand-dyed fabric, and that's the kind of thing that I'd be really interested in building up a bit of a collection of, because there are so many projects that I think come alive with that. And I thought, all these people seem to have subscriptions, so I don't know where you get them. So if anybody can put me in the right direction of where I could set that up and how much I might have to pay for that. I don't have a huge budget for these things, and I'm a little bit wary of kind of signing up to something that's going to be another direct debit, but I think it would be a worthwhile investment because I will use them, and it's kind of one thing that I actually think you know, I think I would really enjoy getting through the post, and it's really nice. So if anybody, especially people in the UK, have fabric subscriptions, if you could let me know where you get them from and roughly how much you pay for them, if you don't mind, that would be really, really helpful. So thank you, and hopefully next time I'll be able to update you as to whether I found any myself. I did do a bit of a Google. It's not that I don't know how to Google stuff, but I'm guessing that there are certain websites that you guys would know about that might be more cost efficient, or might be, you know, you might have reviews of how you find the fabric that they send. But if you look at the Pole Stitch website with the hand-dyed fabric, that is the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Things that sort of the type of fabric that lots of people tend to do mirabilia designs on, where they just kind of seem to add something to the background. So any advice about that would be very much appreciated. Well, I think that's me for today. So I guess that was kind of an update as to where I am. Lots of questions that I just threw out there. Hopefully somebody will be able to help me. I'll be really, really grateful. In terms of kind of future plans, because I'm getting towards the end of my Lizzie Kate design, I actually went out and bought all of the threads for it. I've just said this is me finished, and now I'm going to probably ramble for another 10 minutes actually, because I realised that I forgot to show you this. So these are the colours from my Lizzie Kate design. So they're all in the jumble as usual, but there's some lovely, lovely colours here. So if I show you kind of systematically, that might help. So there's a lovely colour called Antique Rose, which is this kind of dusky pink colour. So despite everything that I said, I'm really, really happy with some of the colours I'm using, even though they don't really go together. So that's dusky pink, which is really, really nice. There is, sorry, I just have to work out what colours are what. This is Whiskey, which is my favourite colour in it. It's kind of a burnt yellow mustardy colour, but you can't really see it that well on the camera. Really nice. Blue Heron, which the bird is made from. Lovely blue there. Pecan, nice brown. 8. Wood Trail. Sorry, I'm completely confusing things. These words that I'm telling you are the names of the thread, are actually the names of what the Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works threads would be called. I'm actually quoting, but I'm actually showing you the DMC colours, so let's forget about calling them names. But they're basically really lovely colours. If anybody would like to know the colours that I've used, I'd be happy to kind of post the DMC codes. I don't know why I did it that way. That's probably completely confused everybody now. But the point was that the colours were really, really nice. The other thing to say about the Jane Greenoff design is about their colours as well. I mean, these are some amazing sort of vibrant colours here. And on that card as well. And you can imagine how against the linen they really pop. So yeah, so I've kind of, I'm not usually one of those cross stitches that gets really kind of enamoured with all the different kind of, I know people collect threads a lot, and I have coincidentally, just through using, you know, having things left over from kits that I save. I'm not a big one for stash on things like that. I'm more of a stash for kits rather than just kind of loose threads and stuff, but it's the kind of thing that makes me want to become a thread collector, because there's just some amazing colours there. So yeah, in terms of future plans for cross stitch, what comes next? Well, as I say, I've got my stash. I've got a few things in there that I'd quite like to start. But I'd like to do, I think next, before them, I would like to do a design out of one of my magazines. And I did buy, where's it gone? I bought World of Cross Stitching magazine today. I get Cross Stitch Crazy as a subscription. I don't always buy the others, but I like the look of this sort of, I'm really into the sort of spring colours, so there's a few things on there that I'm really looking forward to kind of having a look through in a minute. So I think there's some of the sort of designs I showed you on last video would be some ones that I'm going to thumb through. I'd like to make one for my mum next. I've made her little ones for Christmas, but I'd like to actually, my goal is to make my mum kind of a A4 sized cross stitch design for one of her Christmas presents or something, which gives me a lot of time. So hopefully I'll manage it. So that's what I've got on my mind for next time, but it's all money dependent at the moment, so we will see. So I hope you have a lovely Easter. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I'm sorry if this one didn't make a lot of sense. I do feel a bit, I don't know if I'm coming down with something, but I do feel a bit weird and lazy and groggy today, so I'm probably not talking very clearly. But please feel free to comment, to give any feedback on the video, give me any ideas for anything you'd like to see me talk about next time, and any help you could give me about fabric subscriptions, about anything that I've mentioned today would be really, really useful, and I'd be really interested to hear your experience of either Lizzie Kate designs or Jane Greenoff designs. But bye for now, happy stitching and happy Easter, bye!